Hey friends, thank you so much for being here. I'm trying out a headband today. This isn't really a makeup headband, it's just a cute little headband I have, and the hair behind it isn't quite sure how to fall because it's been up in a bun all night, but I actually think it's kind of sort of cute, so I'm gonna keep it on today. But the questions have been rolling in about the Sephora sale. You can get some great savings on high-end makeup in the coming days, depending on what level you're at. You have access at different times to save 20%, 15%, or 10%. And yeah, some people in my comments section have been asking for some recommendations. Today we're going to cover 3 different categories. The best things I've tried recently, the all-time great products, and then the no's, the things that recently I've tried that I haven't loved. So talking about recent things that I've tried and have absolutely loved. The first thing is one of the new fragrances from Sol de Janeiro. It's the caramel vanilla scent. Guys, they have nailed yumminess. This is probably the yummiest scent I have ever owned. And this brand has had some amazing ones that I've really latched onto. The Baume Dia Bright scent has been awesome. This 100% nails yumminess, sweetness. If you're not a real sweet fragrance person, maybe you won't love this so much, but vanilla caramel, I love putting that on. It's great over a vanilla body lotion. I have an EOS vanilla cashmere lotion and it's so good on top of that. But I feel like the scent is fairly strong. I feel like it lasts fairly well, and I've really enjoyed that recently. Another one, and I will have some demos for some of these newer products, the Haus Labs Triclone Skin Tech Foundation. The more I use this one, the more I enjoy it. The staying power is really impressive for me. This looks really fresh all day long. I wear the shade 200 Light Medium Neutral. So we do have a pump here. I applied it today with a brush using nearly 1 full pump, and I feel like I have kind of a glowy finish on the skin and pretty much a medium, strong medium coverage. It blends in with ease. We're talking a very traditional liquid foundation consistency. And you could use a sponge, but a brush works fine, I think. I use my e.l.f. Duo Complexion brush, and I just got a flawless blend, and I feel like the skin looks immediately fresher, more even. Even not putting on a complete full pump, it still has a pretty dewy feel on the skin after I've applied it. And I prep my skin well, but I can definitely tell the difference between a foundation that's really starting to set fast and dry down and one that stays a little dewy. This has some dewy feel, so it is one that I will not only set my under eyes with after concealer, but I will set all over the face with this one. And the wear I get is awesome all day wear. It doesn't look thick, doesn't look heavy. It's been a very enjoyable foundation. It was one where I knew it had received a lot of hype and I kind of held off, and then finally tried it. And the more I use it, the more I'm like, wow, another good skin day, another good foundation day. So that's a recent product for me that I have loved. I forgot to shoot a demo of me using my Patrick Ta contouring brush, but this is one of the biggest gems from the Patrick Ta line that I've tried recently. I love this little chunk end here. You also have a powder bronzer end, but this end for contouring is elite. It is amazing. It's like a chunky short fan brush, and it does the best job of that contour placement and blending it and really staying targeted with your application of cream contour. It's not imperative that you use this with the Patrick Ta product. You could use this with any cream bronzer you like. Let's say you've got a jumbo stick from Wet n Wild. You swipe across it with this, you put it on, the placement is so perfect, and yet it's still able to blend as well. So placing and blending really works with this, and you've got that powder end, which is so handy too. And if you're like, I'm not into double-ended brushes, I believe you can just get this one as is. Just the one end there that looks like a little chunk fan brush, and I've loved that so very much. This palette from Cali Ray, I have a whole video about it, a recent love for me. You'll see me applying a few steps of this today, and I just find this to be incredibly handy. Is it a very natural palette? Yeah, it's not throwing any left field products in here or any really unusual colors. An unexpected perk of this palette has been staying power as well. The blush, gosh, that just wears and wears all day long to the bitter end. It's amazing. So a matte, kind of dusty peach blush, I put that on today, and that looks flawless. It's very pigmented, but there's a shade in here also that I would call a blush topper. I think they identified that as an eyeshadow that's nice to use wet, but to me it gives me kind of a golden pinky shift on top of blush, directly on top of where you applied the blush. I love that. The highlighter in here is awesome. That makes a great eyeshadow as well. And this matte white powder is so beautiful, just lightly dabbed on your under eye area for some added brightness. And then when we move on to eyes, I find myself myself using these. While they look kind of like contour shades, these are eyeshadows to me. So one in the crease, one to kind of deepen up the crease. For a quick look, I would just do that and then put the highlighter on like the inner part of my lid. We also have a great shade in here if you need any help blending. This really smooths the edges, this extra little color. One con is that there's no mirror in it, but as for the palette itself, it's very travel friendly, extremely practical, and I love stuff like that. This little guy has been mentioned several times on my channel, my Amy Cole stick. This is called the Desert Date Cream Multi-Stick, and the shade is Spice. This is a plummy color, and it immediately amps up your look. Even after doing this, you know, I was just wanting to demonstrate another product. Maybe if I was really thinking, I might have popped this on first, but this is the perfect plummy flush. It's an instant way to make over your look. We're talking a matte finish product here, and it gives you kind of a pillowy look on the lips, like a matte balm kind of effect. You can dab it directly on your cheeks, then blend it in with a Sephora 56, which is kind of a must-have brush. Great for cream products, or you can just swipe back and forth on the product and dab it on your cheeks. And then putting it on the lips, I like kind of a soft application, either a blotting, dabbing motion from the stick, or put it on your finger first and apply it to the lips, and it gives you this really pretty stained look. Great staying power with this. Again, it's more of a matte finish compared to, say, some of the Persona sticks. If you've used those are a little more juicy looking. And don't be scared of the deep, rich color like this, because it shears out in such a beautiful rosy way on the cheeks. And if you haven't seen me swatch it before, you know, it does look dark, but it blends out, and it can just give you this perfect range. You could apply it very full on the lips, get a much darker look than what I have today, but I also just love that sheerness and that stainy kind of vibe it can give. I would be interested in trying some more shades of this. The packaging is also adorable. And in terms of another lip product that's awesome, I know this got mentioned in my favorites video recently too, but these Sephora Sheer Matte Lip Balms. Same kind of vibe on the lips really as what I just mentioned with the Amy Cole, but a little twist up stick. I have the shade Fuchsia. It's more of a soft red, and this is another thing where I'm kind of like, I think I might need some more shades in this because I really like the formula. The formula is really, really smooth, easy to put on, ultra comfortable on the lips, but it's different from other tinted lip balms because instead of giving you that shine, it just gives you this soft matte lip that almost feels more like, oh, do you just have naturally really pigmented lips? I love those. Those are awesome. Another terrific lip product I've loved lately are the Lawless Forget the Filler Balms. So they have those Forget the Filler lip plumpers that are more like a gloss. They are a gloss, very shiny. They say these balms are the combination of their overnight mask and the gloss, like kind of put in one. So these do have a shiny finish. They have a little bit of a, I would say, cooling tingle, but they do have all the moisturization and all of that like good for your lips stuff that you notice with the overnight mask. So there are a couple of really pretty shades that I love. Babydoll. I didn't really expect to like this one so much. This came in PR, so it caused me to try it, and it's a beautiful baby pink, very springy pink kind of look. And these are great also kind of cleaned up a little bit around the outside with a lip liner. You get a really nice look. And I also love Sugar Plum. So we're talking deep, plummy, deep reddish kind of look. I actually took that one and I just threw it on top of the Amy Cole stick, and it adds really a lot more moisture to my look. But I've loved those. Those are great handy little products just to grab and put on if you need a little moisturization. Are they doing a lot of plumping to my lips? Hard to say. I think they're doing a lot of smoothing though, because they do have kind of a rich emollient feel going on the lips. So everything I've mentioned here have been things I've tried fairly recently and I've really, really loved. And before we get to the recent nose, I think I'll share just some all-time great products in case you were wondering. One would have to be the Sephora 56, this brush that I use all the time to blend out cream products. Creams or liquids it's really good for. This can also apply foundation or concealer. The 56 is such a multitasking brush. You see me most often using this to blend out cream contour on my face, and I have yet another one that's a smaller size that I use for cream blushes as well. The density of this brush just ensures that everything gets blended in so nicely. I would really recommend that. The Shiseido Lash Curler, whether you get it in the gold or the silver, it's the same thing, but it's probably the best lash curler I've ever used. Periodically, I try different ones and nothing compares to this. It's definitely worth it. I feel like it's a really good shape right in here. It's not too curved, and that means it's gonna fit my lash line and grab the maximum amount of lashes it can. There's a nice amount of squish in that little red pad that the top part is going into, and I will hold it for probably on average 30 seconds, and I'm kind of pulsing as I do that. I feel like I always mention that one around the holidays. I use it every single day, but it may not get mentioned as much as it should. A couple of skincare things. The Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base, which I am holding up here in the jumbo size. I've emptied out I don't know how many of these in the regular size, so the last time I purchased I got the big one in the glass jar, and it's my favorite thing to wear under makeup. Richly moisturizing. If we're talking skin types here, I'm normal to dry skin, probably moving as we get into summertime a little bit more into a straight up normal skin type. And you want to talk about an immediate skin perk up. Once you put this on, you just see the life and energy kind of start to return to the face. It's thick, it's rich, okay? And I should probably give this more credit more often for the fact that I enjoy so many foundations and concealers that I use. I mean, I've really been having a pretty good success rate with stuff like that. And I think this stuff just ups the likelihood of me enjoying the base products that I put on top. So richly hydrating. And another skincare thing that I probably will go ahead and repurchase. It's pretty unique. I love the consistency of this Supergoop Every Single Face Watery Lotion SPF 50. I'm just about out of this, but this product in a nutshell is an SPF that doesn't mess with your makeup, okay? Like, it does add a little additional moisture still on top of the Bobbi Brown, but it's thin, it's not too heavy, you don't have to work hard to blend it in, it's just nice and light, and still giving that SPF 50, wear it every single day. Supergoop does do some great sunscreen formulations, but I really think this has been my favorite so far. I love the thin, watery, lightweight consistency. It's not messy, it's not sloppy, but it just blends in with total ease, and I love it. A couple of my most favorite mascaras in my collection, Cali Ray Come Hell or High Water. Now this is fine upper or lower lashes, works really well, but I pretty much have specialized it to my lower lashes every day because it does not smudge. It's a tubing mascara and it truly stays in place. There have been different tubing mascaras over time that still, maybe something in their formula can still smudge a little bit, I don't know, but this is pretty much like 100% success rate for me. So every day it's what I put on my lower lashes, and it works so very well. You can have watery eyes, you can inadvertently rub your eyes, you can cry, and it will stay there. And again, fine for the upper lashes too. It's just, I've got quite a few different things that I like on the upper lashes, and I can get several more months of wear out of one of these when I only use it on the lower lashes. And then IT Cosmetics Superhero, I mean the GOAT, the GOAT of mascaras. This one builds up the most dramatic lash the quickest. I'm always kind of looking for something else that's maybe available at a drugstore price that can come close to that. The Essence Lash Princess Sculpted Volume and with the purple details on the packaging is pretty close. L'Oreal Lash Paradise can kind of scratch that itch as well, but this one is just the supreme. And this is a fresh new tube. I couldn't even count how many tubes of Superhero I've gone through, but it's the mascara with the look that I'm trying to emulate from all other lower cost options. Another thing that I think can be called all-time great, because I've been using it for quite a while, it got mentioned recently in the Glowish video, but this Luminous Pressed Powder from the Huda Glowish line. What an underdog, what an underrated product here. It has the feel of a powder foundation, but the finish of kind of like an hourglass powder. It gives you a little more glow. That's what I set my entire face all over with. Still allowing that House Labs foundation to have that kind of luminous look, but I feel set and I don't feel the least bit sticky. So this is a great thing to go over the top of any kind of foundation and still let you have that glow, but it adds some coverage too, okay? Because like I said, it has that softness. This could be applied as a powder foundation. If you want to apply some concealer first, maybe set your under eye with something slightly more brightening and then go all over the face with this like it's powder foundation, you can do that, but that's an amazing powder. And then lastly, Patrick Ta eye palettes. They've been so worth it for me personally. I ended up most recently around Christmas time getting the bronze palette, which it turned out to be great. I love this, but I feel like my most favorite color scheme is probably the Major Dimension 2 because I love those rosy tones in here, and they're just some gorgeous shifts happening in a couple of these shimmers, and it's been so good to me. It's been so fun every single time I've picked it up. Pure satisfaction, amazing pigment down here in the mattes. And the shimmers, some of those have a profoundly sparkly look, but the magic with those is that they don't like drift off. They don't fall down on your cheeks all day, which is amazing. And then you got a couple creams which are kind of fun to play with too, as little bases or soft liners, whatever you want to do. It's pure luxury, but to me, it's worth it. So that's the stuff on my all-time greats list. list, and I'm probably going to edit this video and then kick myself because I forgot a few things. But when I first was planning out this video, that was kind of the afterthought. I thought, well, maybe I should mention some just generally awesome things that I always love. But it started out with, this is my recent yes list, and this is my recent no list. And keep in mind, these aren't world's most terrible products. These are just some things that haven't really hit the mark with me recently. The Glowish Concealer. This is described as a sheer concealer. It's a good brightener, but buying this on its own and expecting a lot out of it, it's definitely lacking in coverage if that's what you want. Now, if you feel like I need hardly any coverage, I just want brightness, maybe you'll like it. It's really thin, it's really lightweight, but my goodness, can I still see the circles through this? So for me to go forward with this one, it's going to need to be used in conjunction with something else. It's new, it might catch your eye, but it's not a big recommendation from me. Another newer thing that I didn't absolutely love was this Huda Beauty matte palette. I got the Cool Matte Obsessions, and it's done some fairly pretty looks, but they've done an odd thing with textures in a couple of these. It feels like they're giving us creams, but they're not really super easy to work with, and I don't feel like the other shades blend super easily on top of those. They kind of interfere a little bit. Your traditional powder textures are here, and then, you know, your bottom two rows, it's just those two that are the creamy ones. And I like the color choices, and I can do some pretty looks, but looking back on the purchase, I'm like, you know, if you get that all matte palette from ColourPop, you've pretty much got that color scheme. Looking over here, you know, you've got those kind of mauvey, plummy, rosy mattes. And I just look back at this and I thought it's kind of an impulse purchase. I saw Huda looking beautiful wearing this in the picture on the website. I've enjoyed a lot of these small 9-pan palettes, but truly I've got the shades already, not only in this palette, but for sure some others. And I just wasn't in love with it. Knowing what I know now, I could have passed on it. Maybe you don't have a lot of those shades and you think I really need something like this and I like the small size, and maybe it is for you. But that weird little texture thing, I wasn't a huge fan of that. I got one of these Tower 28 liners, which they call the one-liner multi-liner, that can work on like face, eyes, and lips. And I got the shade Work of Art, and it amounts to kind of like a deep nude. And it's not terrible, but gosh, it's got a lot of drag. And I kind of thought with continued use, maybe that would improve a little bit for me and it would soften up and I'd like it, but it's kind of a stretch. Like if they wanted to put out a real multitasking product, I think they should have put it out in a much thicker design pencil, like a chubby stick type deal. That would really prompt people to, I think, swipe it on the cheeks, swipe it on the eyes. But even just as a lip liner, there's some dryness with that. It's not really an amazing formula, and I think it needs to be a pretty amazing formula to easily work in all those different ways. So to me, not remarkable. I think it's a skippable product. Last but not least, these Drunk Elephant drops, the De-Bronzy Anti-Pollution Sunshine drops. If you were looking for an excuse not to buy these and maybe an alternative, guys, just get the Lumi Glotion in the Deep Glow. I already had this, and getting this, I was like, oh man, like it really wasn't that different from the experience this gives you. This stuff may not be quite as concentrated, but like a lot of people use this and mix it into their moisturizer. Like you'll see them put some dots on and then add some moisturizer, you know, Alex Earl method, and then blend it in all over. But this really, you know, just put it on after you've done your moisturizing steps, wear it all over as a primer, and I swear it's the same level of glow. It really gives the same effect on the skin, and I'm weird about dupes. You know, I really like things to be exact, and not that anybody would wear these this concentrated, and I've got to have them like not catching the light so you can even see them. But L'Oreal is this stripe, and then under that is the Drunk Elephant, and they're just so similar. You don't need to spend that amount of money on a product like that. And frankly, the L'Oreal, like I said, it just gives you a little more ease of blending. I've loved that. I already had this when I bought those, and it just kind of left me kicking myself. So guys, that's my Sephora roundup. Hopefully that gives you a little direction in terms of things that I would steer you toward or away from. Let me know your picks in the comments section. In terms of things I may buy, I'm considering possibly some other shades of this, the Amy Cole stick and the Sephora Sheer Matte Lip Balms. Really not trying to go overboard, but those are a couple things I've loved, and I could use another one of those sunscreens, and I think my mom may want one of those sunscreens as well, so I might get one for her. The Super Goop with a little round packaging. But yeah, that's my info. Thank you all so much for your time today, and let me know if you have any questions. I will see you again very soon. I love you. Bye.